Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the Rutgers-Newark Small Business Development Center's webinar series. Today's webinar is called Stay Ready to Communicate. Your presenter today will be Kimberly Williams, and she will introduce herself shortly. So just a minute or two to tell you a little bit about the SBDC and do some housekeeping regarding today's presentation. The Small Business Development Centers, we are the premier providers of strategic, growth-focused business training and technical assistance. And we provide these services to established business and startup entrepreneurs. So our objective and our mission is to provide the appropriate training and technical assistance, and that will be in the areas of, that is given to you via, one-on-one business counseling and training events, workshops, webinars, such as the one that you are tuned into today. We have 12 centers located across New Jersey. Each center is responsible for one or more counties. And so you can always request assistance or one-on-one business counseling by visiting any of our websites. Our jurisdiction is Essex County, and our website is www.rnsbdc.com. So that's RN for Rutgers-Newark, SBDC.com. And simply just click on the button to request counseling, fill out the form, and within 24 to 48 hours, a counselor is assigned to you to do a needs assessment and to address any issues or concerns that you may have about either starting or growing your existing business. For anyone today that have any questions during the presentation, there is a chat box. I think it's located right on the right of your screen. Please feel free to use that chat box. I'll ask the question and we'll answer it. We're going to be able to communicate as we go along. Sometimes we do it at the end, but today we'll feel free to ask your question as the presentation goes along, and we'll answer it. So I'm not going to take too much of Ms. Williams' time's up, so I'm going to turn everything over to her to present today's webinar. Kimberly?
Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kimberly Williams. I am so thrilled to be with you as we all get to know what our new normal is as we respond to small businesses and rebound as small businesses. So before I even introduce myself, I just want to say that I'm happy to be here with you, and I'm also in awe of you all for your focus to be here today. You really could be anywhere else, but you've chosen to invest in your lifelong learning. And to that, I salute, because it takes a lot on a normal day under normal circumstances. And we can all agree that we are not experiencing normal circumstances right now, but you are here, and I honor that. And so today, I look forward to sharing some information with you. And as Priscilla said, we are going to be in a conversation, which means that I'm going to share some information with you. You're going to grapple with that information in your mind. And if a question comes up for you, or if you're facing something in particular, a particular situation, and you'd like to ask a question based on that, as Priscilla has said, and I appreciate her support in this fashion, just simply use the chat box and she will give voice to your question on your behalf, and we'll talk about it. Typically, this workshop is delivered in more than one part. So today I'm going to have the pleasure of really introducing you to a new way of thinking about how to communicate about your business. Typically, there are one-on-one coaching sessions that occur post the webinar, and that is still a possibility, but you will let me know at the end and let Priscilla know if you are interested in working one-on-one on how to communicate about your business, and maybe you've shifted in some way and you're struggling with really how to plan for that and how to communicate about that. So that is an opportunity. So today is really a primer and a new way about thinking about how you talk about your business. My name is Kimberly Williams, and I am a social entrepreneur. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I have started several for-profit businesses, and I've also had the honor of founding nonprofit organizations. Both of those organizations you should know about as entrepreneurs in the state of New Jersey. These organizations might be of benefit to you, I hope. One is called Forward Ever Sustainable Business Alliance. I know it's a mouthful, but just think moving forward. It's Forward Ever Sustainable Business Alliance, and the mission of that nonprofit is to support mom and pop small businesses like my own and many of your businesses that benefit from increased retail spending. So the mission of that nonprofit is really to promote a buy local culture in Newark and Greater Newark. So if you have a product or service and you're trying to reach additional consumers in the Newark market, you may want to consider partnering with Forward Ever. In addition to the New Jersey LGBT Chamber of Commerce, which is a membership organization, it functions like most chambers of commerce would, with networking and education and support and what have you. So why am I mentioning this background to you so extensively? Well, I think part of it is because as one who has both for-profit and nonprofit businesses that I support and or manage, that means that I have different identities or personas when I'm in public or when I'm online. So it's extremely important to me to always have a concise message about the work that I'm doing, the reason why I may be at a particular networking event, whether that event is online or in person. What are my objectives in being there? What are my key messages? So it's that kind of work that I began to develop an expertise in. And that's what I'm going to share with you today in this workshop, because if you know what your key messages are and you have a plan about what it is that you want to achieve in the next year, you don't have to get ready. If you stay ready for opportunities, for that right person to cross your path, for that email to come to your inbox, you won't have to get ready for the opportunity because you have stayed ready. And that's just a fact of life. And I think, that's not something that any of us, has never heard of before. And if you're an entrepreneur, this is a fact of life that I'm sure is a creed that you live by. So what are we talking about when we say staying ready to communicate? Like anything else in entrepreneurship, there's no shortcut to staying ready to communicate. It's like any other process. You have to plan. In order to be ready for your opportunity, whether that opportunity is engaging a new business partner, maybe that opportunity is launching your new nonprofit, or engaging a new grant or a philanthropic partner. whatever that opportunity is, you know it didn't just land in your lap. You know it took a lot of planning. And the same is true in planning to communicate effectively. An effective communications plan can help you to achieve not only your financial goals, it can help you to achieve your partnership goals. It could help you to achieve your community impact goals. Perhaps you want to position yourself as an influencer. This kind of planning that we're going to talk about is the key to success in that regard. So speaking of keys to success, now, how many of you, and this is, look, I'm not here to judge. As a matter of fact, I'm here to empower. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I ask that you respond in the chat. How many of you have a plan for your business for the next few years? Or maybe it's just the next year. Or maybe you have a plan, and when I say a plan, I mean not an idea, but maybe something you've written on paper or you've typed it up. So there's a plan for your business. It could be the next few years, maybe it's the next year, maybe in this environment, it's the next 6 months. Okay, great. I'm seeing some responses that some participants actually do. They actually do have plans for their businesses, and that is a foundation. And of course, thank you. These plans are evolving. I'm so glad that you said that, because we all know that a plan is meant to be broken. That's just part of what planning is. But I think now more than ever, it's important for us to commit to our visions or our ideas on paper, so that as these trends evolve over time, we can really go about the work of identifying what parts of our business may need to shift as well. And thank you all for responding. I understand that COVID has impacted businesses and has forced businesses to revise plans in ways that they've never, and business models for that matter, in ways that they've never imagined. So this is a time for planning. And since what we're talking about here is communications planning, what I want you to understand is that communications planning is tied to your business planning. It does not exist in a vacuum. It's not something that stands alone. It is directly connected to what it is your plan for your business, meaning your services, your products, how you go about generating revenue. Your communications plan supports that. What do I mean? I'm going to give you some tangible examples for businesses at different stages, both for-profit and nonprofit. Let's say you're a nonprofit and you're starting up. And so part of your keys to success in the next 12 months is to solidify your board. You've had a startup board, and now you need the next level board that's going to help your organization enter into its teenage years. You know, you're not necessarily a startup anymore, but you're still growing. So a key to success is to identify the right people to be on your board, because your organization is growing. So in helping you to identify the people that you need to be on your board is a skills assessment, identifying who within your network or your circle of influence that you may be able to recruit to be on your board. But then it comes down to the ask. How do you have a conversation with a prospective board member about why they should be on your board, about the importance and the impact your organization has had and plans to have in the community, and how the work that your nonprofit is aligned with what you know is important to them. Your work is aligned with the vision that this board member has for how they want to see the community evolve. That's where planning comes in, so that you can have a really engaging conversation with this prospective board member that takes into consideration anything that may block them from saying yes. That's what planning can do. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to think about. And I can work with you one-on-one to develop really what a clear idea of what your business goals are. And that's a real statement, because even during this COVID era, your goals undoubtedly have changed. What's possible for your business to achieve in this environment, and state those things as a goal. We can work together in doing that if you don't already have a partner. And just as Priscilla said at the beginning of this webinar, the SBDC is a great resource for business planning and coaching and a myriad of other small business support services. But that is the basis for this conversation. You must have an idea of what your goals are, and then use those goals as the basis to create a plan for communications. Those two things work together simultaneously, and they sort of layer on top of each other. So planning. Once you've taken the time to devise a plan, and again, doesn't have to be complex. I suggest that it is as simple as possible, as a matter of fact. And you've taken the time to identify what your keys to success are. Maybe that key to success, as we said, for a nonprofit is board recruitment. But perhaps you have a for-profit business. Maybe you're offering a new product into the market. How do you then begin to pitch? You've done the homework, you've made the plan. Now it's time to pitch. What I want to offer you right now is that you should think about pitching as an ongoing, never-ending exercise. I'm sure many of you have seen Shark Tank, if not all of you. It's probably even some of your favorite programs. And so with that, I say Shark Tank is a great show, but I think what it has done is made the idea of pitching something that's kind of an isolated event. It's isolated to being in front of a group of people. It's isolated to a single time where you have ultimate preparation to put your best foot forward. And while I think those opportunities to pitch are realistic, they do happen that way, I think of pitching in a more practical daily exercise, because you are always pitching. Everything that you do is pitching. From the time that you have entered into the room, whether it's on an elevator, and we all know about the elevator pitch, to the time that you have exited the room with a handful of business cards in hand, to the moment you return to your desk with those business cards and decide what you're going to do with them or what you're not going to do with them, to the next opportunity when you have a business meeting with someone, a new contact. All of this is continuing to pitch. as well as how you show up online, in social media, how you're represented, how your materials are represented, how your branding is positioned. All of this is part of the conversation about you. It represents you, and therefore, it is part of your pitch. So, if we begin to think about pitching as something that can happen not only in a boardroom or at a networking event or in front of a panel of investors, but rather in every conversation, then that means we need to get really specific about who it is that I need to be talking to and know what my priorities are. And that's what the exercise and planning is all about. It will help you to get crystal clear about your goals for the next 6 months, 12 months, or however you want to measure the time that you're going to plan for. But it'll help you to get crystal clear. And why do you need to be crystal clear? Because you need to know who exactly is a priority audience for you to communicate with. Have you ever met the entrepreneur? And I know I used to be this person at one time who thought their product was for everybody. Well, surely everybody's going to love this thing that I've created. And so therefore, my customer is just everyone. And while that may be true to some extent or another, what is probably also true is that your budget is limited and certainly your time is. So targeting the audiences that are the lowest hanging fruit for your product or service is key. And understanding who they are, how they think, where they get their information, who they trust, who influences them. You know, these are the type of demographic and what's called psychographic information that will be critical to understand. And that takes some work. And perhaps you're in a situation where your customer used to be one profile, but now in this environment, your customer has changed. So that means that you need to get to know who your target audience is once again. Who are they? How do they behave? Do they respond to online paid advertising? Are they on YouTube or are they more Facebook? Are they the kinds of people that I need to target with AdWords or Google? But this is the foundation of marketing. These are fundamental questions. We have not brushed up on any topic yet that is an advanced marketing topic. So this is really important so that when you're talking specifically, when you're talking to your target audiences, you're talking to them in a way that speaks to them directly. It lets them know that you understand what their challenge is specifically, that you have come prepared to understand what moves them, what they care about, why they might want to come to a business such as yours, and you're speaking to that specifically. I mean, we've all been in conversations with people. I mean, it may be a business conversation or just a personal conversation, where sometimes, you know, you may be interested in what someone is saying, but they're just using way too many words. And so by the end of the conversation, you might just feel unclear at best and confused at worst, or maybe worse. But so the point that I'm emphasizing here is to be very concise and to be very specific and to be targeted so that what you're saying to someone is not one size fits all. So for instance, If you are talking about your business to an investor, what an investor might be interested in is very different. It's very different from what you might say to someone if you're trying to recruit them to join your team, or if you're trying to talk to them about being one of your vendors, or if you're talking to someone because one of your goals is to, get a space, and you're talking about leasing, and you need to convince, a leaseor that you are the person that needs this space. What you would talk to them about is obviously very different than what you would talk to that investor about. Maybe there's some similarities, but if you are prepared because you're going to have a series of conversations with leaseors, you're going to have a series of conversations with various investors. So you want to be very precise in what it is that you're pitching to them. Then you would want to prepare in this way by planning, by really understanding what your keys to success are, and having a definite timeline for that plan, and being crystal clear about who your audiences are. But just know that you are always pitching. The pitching experience does not happen just on stage. It doesn't just happen in the elevator. It is a continuous process of being evaluated by a prospective client, business associate, investor, or what have you. And everything you do helps to build a persona, if you will, of one who is an influencer, one who can be trusted, one who is an expert. And that continues from everything that comes out of your mouth to literally the emails that you send afterward to follow up. Whether you leave in a meeting, in an in-person meeting, you may leave behind materials. All of those things reinforce your message, your story. And so I would encourage you to really evaluate not only your words, but your materials, because they do represent your work. And I just mentioned, being an influencer or being someone who's regarded as an expert or as quite seasoned in an area or is at the leading edge or whatever language is appropriate for your industry. It's important, and even more important now than ever, that we distinguish ourselves from the crowd. And how do we do that? I mean, we should benefit from certainly being an influencer. So how do we go about doing that? And here are some very low-hanging fruits to do that. I think that LinkedIn is an underutilized resource, although it is growing in just general use and popularity. Why should you have a LinkedIn page? Because this is where your colleagues are. You may find new vendors or new suppliers that are on LinkedIn. You may find colleagues that you've known for years and just didn't realize the network that they can introduce you to. LinkedIn can make that connection and that kind of network very transparent. And in a lot of ways, LinkedIn serves as your personal webpage. So if your business does not yet have a webpage, this is a very quick way for your business to go online today. Because you can have a personal webpage so that you as an individual can continue to brand yourself as an influencer in your industry, but you can have a companion business page where you can feature information about your page and showcase your logo and be recognized in a database of, businesses from Fortune 500 to startups. You would be amongst that network of businesses. But I think what's also interesting about LinkedIn is there's a few things, but I say one of the first is that you have to remember that since we are in this virtual experience and we're likely to be here for some time, the idea is, how do you build up your reputation online as a go-to resource, as a business that should be invested in, as the business owner who should be regarded as a leader in the community? LinkedIn content is searchable via Google. So that means every time that you share content on LinkedIn, every time that you like other people's content on LinkedIn, that makes you more relevant. And in the world of algorithms, relevancy rules. So if you personally want to raise your profile, I think one social media platform to be on is LinkedIn. Now, the reason why I make that distinction between you as an influencer personally versus your brand, because you may see that your brand is something that, you know, families really enjoy. I understand that there's someone in this workshop that has a non-dairy ice cream product. And so you may want to engage in platforms that are not necessarily just business-driven or business-to-business driven like LinkedIn is, but you may want to be on a platform where your business can meet consumers. And you want to be on a platform where your ice cream can be showcased, you know, and it's favorably showcased and it just looks delicious. So you may choose in your research and in your plan to instead, or rather in addition to LinkedIn, add Instagram. You may want to add Instagram to your social media mix. Now, that may not be the decision that every business makes, but it really does depend on who you've identified as your target audiences and what your plan is for the next year or the next 6 months or however long you choose to plan. But you should consider being on social media at the least. And of course, there are more advanced things that you can do to raise your profile, like buying yourname.com and developing a website that's dedicated just to you. Developing a blog. Maybe you have an ice cream blog. Or maybe if your business is about home repair, perhaps, you can start a blog that provides tips for homeowners on how to do it yourself. And you might think, well, why would I do that? Why would I tell homeowners how to do it themselves? Because the reality is, you know, people love to watch the YouTube videos, and they may even try it themselves. But if they don't try it themselves or they try and fail, guess who they may call? Is you. Because at the end of the video, you've provided all of your contact information. This was a strategic investment in social media for you. Or perhaps you have the kind of business that could provide insights to the media about trends that are happening in your industry, about trends that are happening in popular culture, about business trends or what have you. Perhaps you might want to help a reporter out. That's the name of a website where you could volunteer to be quoted by reporters who are developing stories. So therefore, if it's part of your strategy to raise your influence by being in national and international media, by being or submitting articles to publications that are online or in print or otherwise. This may be part of your strategy to pitch yourself to media, to actually develop blogs and pitch those articles to publications for further distribution. These are ways that you can think about, and there's so many other ways that would help support a plan to raise your influence. And what does that do? The whole point of doing this is, again, you are pitching yourself to prospective clients, to investors, to partners, to customers. And when they go to Google, you want them to see your amazing story. You want them to fall in love with you. You want them to support your cause. You want them to invest in you. And so therefore, they need to understand who you are. And so these are the tips that will allow them to do some research after they've had a great conversation with you. After your meeting is over, they can go and learn more about you. Or if they've never met you before, they can learn about you through these social media avenues and choose to do business with you. So oftentimes we think that the whole point of doing business is to get to, to get to the contract, to get to the check, even better than the contract, right? To get to to close. It's the thrill of the chase. And at the end, we get to close. And then we somehow think we're done, from a marketing and communications point of view, at least. But I'm here to encourage you to think about, again, communicating as a process. And that process does not end. So that means even after your business has had a great month, you've had the most customers you've ever had, you should always be thinking about, how do I continue to communicate with those people? Because how will I get them to keep coming back? How will I get them to buy additional services or products from me? How will I get them to introduce me to other people? So that is the process of continuing your communication even after the close. Perhaps you're offering promotions. Perhaps you have a referral program formally. Perhaps you have some type of incentive, or maybe you just want to have a newsletter where you stay in touch with your now client, your now customer, so that they always remember you and they never take you for granted. So how do you stay in touch? And how do you make sure, to this first bullet, that even in your contract, for those of you who have contracts at the close of your business, how do you make sure that your contracts even represent you as a professional? How do you continue to negotiate from a place of influence, from a place of power, from a place of professional integrity? All of that still is part of how you're branding your business. So even at the close, it's not over. You should have a plan on how to stay in touch with your clients. And I don't mean client management. Client management is one thing. Let's say you have a digital agency of some sort. And of course, you stay in touch with your clients to deliver a service. That is one type of communication. What I'm talking about is the communication that's not dependent on a project. An example of that is a newsletter. Perhaps your business, as I said, is your digital agency, and there's some security patch or some security issue that is facing, certain websites. So you might want to put out a newsletter that says that your firm has figured out how to endure this security situation, and you all are the best at doing that. And, you can send regular messages to your customers to keep the relationship going, because that's what it is. Ultimately, hopefully, what you have developed from the beginning through the end, meaning you just met this person perhaps at some online networking event. You've had meetings with this person which has culminated in a contract. Now, as the years go on, what you will have developed is a relationship. So there should be a way to keep that relationship going that's not just project related. And you can do that in many ways. Of course, social media is one way to do that. As I mentioned, a newsletter, doing regular press releases to keep your audiences up to date as to what your business is achieving and what it's advancing. To make even new updates about new team members and new partnerships or what have you. Or, as I mentioned earlier, you could publish a blog that you update regularly and share with your clients. So, as I said in the beginning, staying ready to communicate means that you don't have to get ready. That means that you are expecting to succeed. So, let me be ready for that. Let me be ready for that, so that you get out of your business what you actually want. And the key to that, as we all know, there's no shortcut. The key is planning and shifting your perspective about pitching to something that's much broader. And to pitch is something that you can influence, you can control, and it's a very powerful tool. I think you would benefit greatly in whatever respective field that you're in from being an influencer. And I don't mean that in, the cheesy YouTube rendition of what an influencer is. I mean in your field, in ways that are relevant to the people who want to buy from you. And remember that the close is not over. That doesn't mean it's done. We've won. Let's walk away. Marketing can move on to the next prospect. The customer that we have, we all know, is the one that will give us 80% of our business. So focus on growing that relationship. And that is my presentation. I'd love to hear what it is that you all are facing. And if there are any specific situations that are urgent or that you'd like some perspective on, you can certainly share that in the chat, and we can talk about it. if anyone has any questions, I'm available to discuss what you're facing in your business and explore together how we can come up with some strategies. Thank you.
Can we just unmute and talk?
I believe so. Priscilla?
Yes, you can unmute and speak.
Okay, so I am a independent health insurance agent.
Okay.
And I started last year, and I really want to get my social media and to be more of an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to, I'm in the process of putting together my YouTube, not my YouTube, my LinkedIn to update that, and you spoke about a few things, about LinkedIn, about doing articles, about the blog.
Yes.
It's quite a few things you spoke about, and I would like to get started with that. With even you also mentioned buying my .com name, so I plan to do that too. So you had some very good points. It's just to put a plan together of what to do next.
Yes, that is it. Put a plan together that's realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, what you may face, and if you haven't faced this already, is, okay, now I have this LinkedIn page, now I have this blog, and I have, when am I supposed to do this stuff? I have a YouTube page. How much time can I dedicate to this? And so you just have to be realistic and be kind to yourself and let it build over time, right? So what I mean by being kind to yourself, it may not be kind to you for you to plan, hey, I got to do a YouTube video every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very nice to yourself. You know what I mean? Because you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, or you may stress yourself out. So I think you just have to be realistic. What can you do, and do it without fail? That's the measure. Can I commit to doing one blog a month without excuses?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just using that as an example, but that's the kind of question you should ask yourself, because otherwise, then you're, like I said, you're going to make these promises to yourself and it's not going to work, and then you're not going to get the business result that you want.
Okay.
So if you are your only team member to do this, then you have to be realistic on what's possible for you to do. Or you have to make the decision and make the budget available for you to work with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wanted to interject. Doreen, thanks
Yeah.
for that question. I just wanted, I know you probably were on the social media
Mm-hmm.
webinar, and a lot of what you asked will be covered in the workshop
Okay.
later next week. So just wanted to make sure you had a chance to register.
I
Uh,
did. I
yeah.
registered. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. No problem. So for
I think that's
anyone,
great.
we also have a program that can assist you with some of your digital marketing. So just feel free to take a look at it on our website at www.rnsbdc.com. But I can email that to everyone when I follow up. Sorry, Kimberly.
No, I think that's great. I mean, what a great resource the SBDC is and has always been in my development as an entrepreneur. If it wasn't for them, in the earliest stages and really at many stages in my business's growth. So again, I just applaud you all for participating and for making yourself aware of the SBDC. It's a great resource.
Mhm.
Anybody else like to talk specifically about their business?
So if we would like to meet with you on engagement, community engagement
Hmm.
and marketing, I'm going to take
Well, here's
first.
what I'm offering. Here's
Mhm.
what I'm offering, right? So just to make a distinction, I think that's a great question. So I'm not offering services like to be your marketing manager or to do your social media. Rather, what I'm offering is the steps before you do all of that, which is just to planning, right? Which is connected to your business plan. So you have to understand what your goals are really realistically and clearly over the next, let's say 12 months or 6 months to 12 months. I can help you with that as well, but really the focus, is more so just on your communications plan, not necessarily the execution, but I can help you think about, well, how are you going to execute this? I can help you evaluate if this is realistic for you. And ultimately, if you decide that you would like to engage a consultant, I'd be happy to make some referrals.
Okay. So how would one go about that?
I think you should, work with Priscilla,
Mhm.
and what I'll do likely is provide a scheduling link so that you can schedule an hour, because this process, as I said, typically it's 3 parts. It starts with this workshop that kind of gives the overview, and then during an hour session, I help you to identify what your goals are and give you some homework. And then the second session, we really hone in on what your key messages are for your target audiences.
Okay. Is there a cost to that?
You should talk with Priscilla about that.
There's some feedback with your audio, Doreen.
We can't hear you well.
Yeah, your audio just kind of fizzed out a bit. We couldn't hear you well.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's much better.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Okay, all right, so I will work with Priscilla on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And also the same thing goes for, for all that's on here. And I think it's important what Doreen was just asking about, having a lot of her infrastructure in place. Um, that our digital marketing series helps you put that infrastructure in place, your social media, your website, putting together your analytics. And at that point, once that is set up, we can schedule you to have a one-on-one with Kimberly, and and she can help you, put together your communication plan and take it to the next level. So for those, especially for those of you that are just starting out, or you just need assistance with, fine tuning where you are in terms of social media, your marketing plan. We have webinars coming up, and we have those workshops in the series that's happening all in the next 3 months. And there's one this month, one in June, one in July. Just pay attention to our calendar, and register for the webinars. They give you an overview, and if you feel like you want to attend a full day workshop. But a lot of you are going to need to have an online presence, and those will help you with that. And once that's on the way, then we at the SBDC can schedule you for a one-on-one with Kimberly.
Thank you.
Correct?
Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you for having all these resources available for us.
No problem. Is there anyone else that have any questions I wanted to share? We're very quiet today.
Hi, my name is Marjorie. I just,
Hi, Marjorie.
hi. I just have to be stricter with my schedule so this way I could be more consistent because I was taking notes and as you were speaking, and I do have a LinkedIn account and I put that in the back burner. And you were saying how important that is. The platforms that I really use right now, it's Facebook and Instagram. But the LinkedIn, and part of me, I know that by leaving that unattended, it makes me look unprofessional. Because I know people are looking at it, so I have to dedicate more time to that. And I would like to start a newsletter, definitely twice a month, because by the way, I'm with Avon, so our brochures come out every 2 weeks. So I would have to do a newsletter for every campaign. Like I said, there's.
Do you currently do a newsletter?
No, but I would.
You want to start one?
Yes, and I do have constant contact, and I know they make it very easy to do one. It's just I haven't put it in my schedule because there's a difference between calendar and schedule.
Okay.
No, calendars are the things that pop up, networking, seeing clients, but schedules are, for me, it's the definition is the things that have to get done. So I have to be a little bit strict with that.
But that speaks to what I was just speaking with the other entrepreneur about being realistic, right? So, I mean, at some point, you have to say, what is it that I'm really capable of doing because I have the time to do it, I have the know-how to do it, and, I kind of enjoy doing it. If all of those things are no, I don't enjoy doing it, I don't have the time to do it, or what have you, then that means you're making an unrealistic plan. And maybe that's the point where you got to get creative because you have to market in order to increase your sales. You have to advertise, you got to market in order to increase your sales. So either you are in this cycle of making plans that don't pan out, or you think outside the box. Is there a young person that, you can entice or incentivize in some way to help you?
Not. I'm an empty nester, and whether it's Avon or another home-based business, there's a lot of facets, and we wear a lot of hats.
Yes. You can say that again.
Sometimes that's the problem that, like I said, on my schedule, there is a lot.
So maybe it's the way you organize your schedule then? Because for me, for instance, I'm not good at having the kind of day schedule where I'm working on this project, that project, and then at 3:00 I'm working on something else. I'd rather just today, I only work on this thing and I get that done. And if that's every Tuesday, all I do is my newsletter. I don't try to do my newsletter and I got to reach out to 10 people and I got to go pick up my product. And the ands become exhausting. So maybe it's just one day out of the week. Maybe it's only even Tuesday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. This is the time I only focus on my newsletter. That's it. or it's all day on Tuesday because, you know, I don't know constant contact that well. So I'm just going to say Tuesday, that's it. I'm not going to try to do 10 things, which might stress me out. I'm just going to do this one thing. If that's realistic, then that might be a good plan.
Yeah, like I said, I have to be stricter with my schedule and not let my calendar rule my business.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Well,
just like the other young lady said, I really appreciate the Small Business Development Center. I have learned so much from you know, all the webinars and workshops. So I'm really appreciative of this. Thank you.
I wanted to
happy
find
to be a part of it.
I wanted to find out, is there someone that does that help entrepreneurs with time management? Because I was listening to well, Carol, and I realized that I have the same issues too. You know, where it's just managing my time, where I can, you know, or even outsourcing the things that I am not good at, you know.
Yes. That's a really valuable muscle to build, is recognizing what you just said, that time management is not on, you know, your best skill, and also being able to recognize when is the right time to let somebody else do it. Those are very, very critical skills. So maybe there is a workshop, Priscilla. I'm not sure what's in the pipeline as far as a time management workshop, or you know, maybe a how to build your team workshop.
Well, I know there are, as I mentioned, I think in our last webinars, there are a lot of programs that will be introduced in the coming months. So for now, I'm not sure if we have. I know we don't have a workshop for time management, but there's a lot being added. So just you know, you just keep plugged into us and see what comes about. But also, you know, just the one thing that you can do is just take advantage of our one-on-one. You don't have to attend a workshop to speak with a counselor, and maybe some of our consultants may have, you know, some resources that can help you with that. So certainly, you know, just, you know, connect with us and see if you can get a consultant to speak one-on-one with you, and, you know, let them know some of the issues you're facing. And we're very resourceful. So we'll go up and beyond to find ways to help you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that has any questions? I want to talk a little bit about your business. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Well, again, I guess that's it. I'm looking. There's no other questions. Okay, thank you, Amibola. So thank you so very much for tuning in today to our webinar. A special thank you to Kimberly for taking the time out to
It was my pleasure.
present today's presentation. And we look forward to seeing many of you on our webinar, our upcoming webinars. We have a lot that's coming up in the future, but of course we have some that are already scheduled on our calendar. Just a reminder, I did say we do have a digital marketing series. It will do you really good to take advantage of those workshops and webinars. The webinars are all free now, and all of our training have been discounted by 50%. And since we have a little time on our hands right now, it'll be a great opportunity to take advantage of these training and put in, you know, the infrastructure that we need so that we can take advantage of services or a program such as what Kimberly is offering here. So thank you again for showing up for today, and stay well and keep safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. You as well.
All right.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.